Hey everybody, Tim with Redfoot Dreams. Welcome back to another one. Today I've got my buddy Ori with me. We are talking all things Uromastyx. Let's get into it. So Ori is an ornate Uromastyx, obviously. He is very sweet, very beautiful. He's only about a yearling, maybe a little older, maybe a year and a half, but he's not full grown. He'll get a little bigger. You can see those beautiful colors. That's why he's called ornate. Now, ornates are kind of known to be very social. So you can see this guy's very bold, doesn't mind human interaction at all. This is Orange Baby. He is our Uromastyx Jeri. The Jeri is the most common Uromastyx. Unfortunately, almost all of them are wild caught, so it's hard to find one with that good socialized personality. And also, of course, there's the dangers of the wild caught, and a lot of people get them and they're sick and they don't even know, and so some of them pass away, and of course that's sad. But you have to have wild caught if you're ever going to have captive bred, and so this guy is wild caught here, but he's going to make an amazing breeder, and next spring we are going to have his offspring if we have any success. Redfoot Dreams is going to be bringing you captive bred Uromastyx, okay? Jeri, we're going to do some ornates, we'll be doing probably Moroccan, and we are trying to get our hands on some good bandeds so that we can do some bandeds as well. We love Uromastyx. We know you're going to love Uromastyx, and so that is one of the big goals of Redfoot Dreams, is to bring Uromastyx to everybody. And you can see just in the two that we have the crazy variety that you get with Uromastyx. Alright, so talking about the environment for these guys, UVB is crucial with these guys. So you can get whatever the strongest desert bulbs you can find are, and we keep ours nice and low and close to these lizards. So these guys they get tons of UVB, and they love that UVB. They love to bask. As far as temperature, the hotter the better. I mean, we're talking a hot surface temp that they want. So pretty dry. If we can keep it under 35% humidity, I think we're golden. And then the heat is the main thing. I say even up to 130 for a surface temp in their bask in the hottest point, but certainly 120. You gotta toast these guys up, man, and you'll see them. They start out dark and slow and shy, and then they get heated up and they get fired up and they get energetic. Now, a lot of these subspecies have the most beautiful colors, and you really want to maximize that with the right environment. So we're talking nice and dry, very hot, lots of rocks and stuff for them to play on and wedge themselves in. A lot of people put them on sand. I think that's a mistake. I mean, if you want to put some sand in there, that's fine, but they're not necessarily from the dunes and stuff like that. They're from the rocky outcrops and stuff around in these harsh deserts. So hard ground, rough, rugged terrain with a lot of spaces that they can get in and burrow and wedge in, right? So like stacks of pavers, stuff like that, as long as they're not gonna fall or move and shift and hurt the lizards. Uromastyx is actually Greek for tail whip or whip tail or something like that, or tail that's a whip. I think that's true. You can look that up. But that's what they do. They have those sharp, spiky tails, and what they do is they wedge themselves tight into rock openings, and then only that tail sticks out and it blocks the entrance. So when animals try to go in there and get them, they can't. They just get a mouthful of sharp tail, and they'll whip that tail hard. I mean, they're small lizards, but they can whip that tail hard. So the diet on these guys, this is one of the cool things. Obviously, a lot of people are familiar with bearded dragon. The beardies, they've got to have some insects, right? I think it's like when they're adults, it's like 80-20 or 70-30. They gotta have a few insects. The bearded dragon is known to carry bacteria that can be deadly to Uromastyx, so we do not want them coming in contact, and we want to wash our hands in between handling. The Uromastyx, they are technically omnivores. They eat some bugs, some grasshoppers, some things like that in the wild, but they don't have to. You can raise these guys as complete vegetarians. It does not affect the lizard. It does not hurt the lizard. You can have a perfectly healthy, happy Uromastyx and never feed it any creepy crawlies. So that's a pro for some people. I like to get pretty close to natural where I can, where it makes sense. And so every once in a while I'll offer a bug. But honestly, my Ornate has never taken a bug. My red Jeri has taken a few, but most of the time he has no interest in it. They mainly want greens as a staple. I mean, collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, dandelion greens is probably their favorite. They like the flower of the dandelion as well. Lots of different kind of flowers. Here's a tip. Go to Whole Foods and you can get little packages of flowers that are not, that do not have chemicals or fertilizers or any craziness. It's just straight flowers, so that's a cool thing. So you get flowers, lentils, all different kinds of lentils. So greens, flowers, lentils, veggies, squash. The sweet fruits, yeah, they can have them, but we want to keep that to a minimum. We want to think of that like cake for us. You can have cake, but you don't want to eat cake all the time at every meal. That's how it is for them. It's very sugary, and especially because they don't drink water, you don't want to do things that are going to cause them to get dehydrated. And that brings me to my next point. They don't drink water. You don't need to put a water bowl in there. I mean, unless you're breeding. When you're breeding and these females are under a lot of stress, and then laying eggs really depletes them, or if they're sick, something like that, then yeah, maybe offer some water, but otherwise, I do not put a water bowl in there because for two reasons. One, they don't use it, and two, it will cause the place to be more humid. Think about if you have a bowl of water and then you have lights that are making the surface 120 or 130 degrees, you're evaporating a lot of water in there. You're going to raise your humidity up too high. So we don't put a water bowl. Now here's a couple cool things that we add to Uromastyx food. One is bee pollen. We put calcium supplements. You can do the ones with vitamin D or without. We like to alternate. You can get dried flower mixes and stuff for beardies and Euros and all that. And you can sprinkle that on their food. Reptivite. That's just one brand, that's what we use, but there's other reptile multivitamins essentially. Order up for 2 Uromastyx. So that brings us to identifying a few behaviors. Okay, one of the behaviors that you're not going to see out of other lizards is the wiggle. When they do that, it's saying, back up, I'm dangerous. Okay, so they're a little bit nervous, they're a little bit threatened, they're a little bit territorial. That's what they're telling you when they do that wiggle. If you're seeing it all the time, that lizard is kind of stressed. Now, look, you're the keeper. It's up to you to form that relationship the way that you see fit. I don't like to tell people, oh, don't handle the lizard now, handle the lizard now, do that. I don't get into all that. You're the keeper. You've got to forge that relationship that works for you and your animal. But that's what they're telling you when they do that. They're just feeling stressed. They're feeling they want some space. They're a little bit nervous or threatened. A lot of Uromastyx are incredibly social, but if they're not incredibly social, you are going to get tail whipped. They're going to tail whip you. They're going to run and hide, and when you reach for them, they're going to tail whip you. And it's not the end of the world. You've got to, in some ways, show that animal that that tail whipping and stuff is not the solution. So the worst thing that you can do is back away and leave them alone every time they tail whip you, because if you do that, you're teaching them to tail whip you when they want to be left alone. So, suffer the tail whips, onward and upward. The figure eight. These guys will do a figure eight or turn circles, sometimes around their food, sometimes around their enclosure. When they do this, it's a territorial display. You see them doing this a bunch, it's just a territorial thing, it's totally normal. Brumation. Brumation is a good one. These guys will brumate. I don't know if they will fully brumate, but they will certainly go into a partial brumation. You will see them less. They will eat much less. They will even lose some weight. So it's not anything to be that concerned about. In the wintertime, it's perfectly natural for them to brumate like this. It's nothing to worry about, and it's not really a full brumation. It's more like they just tuck in for more hours of the day. They'll come out and bask less. Sometimes you won't see them for a couple of days at a time. This is fine. Just be patient with this. We've taken ours out, and handled it and stuff, so it's not, you don't have to leave them alone totally, but just let them do this a little bit. You shouldn't be seeing like hip bones and all of their tail, all their fat storages in the tail and stuff like that going. They shouldn't be super emaciated. They should just lean up a lot. And you'll see that Uromastyx belly kind of go away. And you'll see them get kind of low energy a little bit. I mean, when they bask, they'll have their energy and they'll be exploring and they'll be their normal self, right? That's how we know they're not sick. Because a sick lizard, even when it basks, is still going to be a sick lizard. A brumating lizard, when it basks, you're going to get a little bit of time of, hey, there he is, there's his normal personality. And so if you're getting that at all, then we're not concerned about the lizard, right? And also, you kind of know. If you know that they're going into brumation, then you kind of know. Now, if you're not breeding them, you don't have to cool them down. They may or may not do this brumation thing. But if you are breeding them, you must cool them down, and they must do this little partial brumation in order to get ready to breed. So, gaping. The first time I saw a lizard gape, it freaked me out, but as you guys probably know, lots of different lizard species gape. This is where they sit in the sun, and when they get hot, they open their mouths. Some variation of opening their mouths, sometimes wide like a yawn. Sometimes it looks like they're biting the air. Sometimes they just sit there with their mouth open slightly, which is very creepy and cool. But the first time I saw that, it freaked me out, and now I see that lots of lizards do this. It's like a dog panting. Surfing. If your Uromastyx is glass surfing, it's temporary. They'll stop. When you put them in a new enclosure, they really, really glass surf and go to town and explore every inch of that thing, and you might even worry about them because they glass surf a lot for days, maybe even weeks. But this is temporary. They will not do this forever. They will get used to that enclosure. I will say it's better if you can, and this is true with most reptiles, it's better to have a 3-side blackout, like an enclosure that's dark on 3 sides, or put a wallpaper or put anything. You just don't want glass on all 4 sides. That's kind of hard on some reptiles. In a perfect world, I think all enclosures would be blacked out on 3 sides, and just have that glass front, because it really just gives them more comfort, and they're more nestled in, and they're worried less about predators from different sides. So if you can put them in a PVC enclosure or something like that, that would be best. Can you bathe the Uromastyx? We believe you can. We do. We certainly don't do it every week like you do with some reptiles, but maybe every month, maybe every couple of months, we'll take them out, bathe them real good, clean them up, make sure they're good and healthy and clean. But I think that comes down to husbandry. I think if everything's set up perfectly in there, then they can get wet and they can bathe and they'll dry right out in their bask. And you'll see them do it. They know to do it instinctively. They know not to stay wet. I think it's when they can't dry themselves out that it becomes a problem. So if the husbandry's right, then I think the bathing is a good natural part of things, because you have to think, it definitely rains where they're from. Not often, but it does happen. And they don't all get sick and die because they have the right conditions there. Like, subscribe, comment. Let's talk about these Uromastyx. They're amazing lizards. If you have questions, shoot me a comment. I'll try my best to answer it. If you're on the fence, get off the fence and go get a Uromastyx.